Hello everyone, welcome to another psychology video. So today we're going to talk about learning. Okay, so today we're going to talk about the process of learning. So what is learning? Learning is the acquisition of new and irrelevant material. Okay, knowledge. Okay, so it's the acquisition of new, and they call it enduring material. So it is material that, or knowledge or information that doesn't have an ending to it. Okay, so learning, and it's very important when we talk about learning is we talk about the three main types of learning, if you will. So the first one is your classical conditioning. Okay, so classical conditioning or the Pavlovian learning is all about. So this is, as described, it is a stimulus to a stimulus associative learning. Okay, in which you have a stimulus paired with another stimulus, and that releases a associative learning as a type of it. The next one is you're having operant conditioning. Operant conditioning. Okay, so in operant conditioning, you have a voluntary. So that's important. You have a voluntary behavior, and that voluntary behavior then results in a consequences, right? So if the consequences is positive or that it is good, then it's going to be repeated again and again and again. If the consequences were bad, for example, if the person got punished or something, then it would not be repeated. Okay, so it's very important to say there's a consequence, either good or bad, and from there, here it's repeated, here it's distinguished. Okay, the third one is the Bandura's social modeling. So it is basically the observational learning, in which a person learns by observing others. Okay, you have your model. You observe a model, and then you do as it is, right? So, for example, famous example, for example, if you were in McDonald's, or like if you were at a famous restaurant, right? And the person in front of you is getting hot dogs. So you see where he got the ketchup and the mustard from, and the next time you know where to get it, right? Because you've learned while observing a model. So basically, these are the three main categories of learning, and the fundamentals of learning started with classical conditioning. In classical conditioning, you also, very important, you have an unconditioned stimulus, you have an unconditioned response, you have a conditioned stimulus, and you have a conditioned response. Okay, and this conditioned stimulus was once a neural or was a natural stimulus, and that stimulus was paired to an unconditioned stimulus to elicit a unconditioned response, which is similar in for most cases to an unconditioned response. However, sometimes there could be discrepancies because of blocking. Okay, you have operant conditioning, in which there's a behavior, a voluntary behavior, and there's a consequence, good or bad, depends if it's going to be repeated again or not. And then you have observational learning, so it depends on observing others, observing a model, and then working as it is. So you learn from the model. So these are just the fundamentals of learning, and hope it was helpful.